an engineer, a computer programmer, and a filmmaker, the three pillars of the universe. They have formed a consultant firm, and each episode they are contracted to solve the world's greatest problems. This is Important Business.
We're good. And you're recording audio?
Is this recording?
Cool.
Are we recording now?
Yep. Okay.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Shut up.
We are recording. You guys ready to go?
Is this a record?
What?
Wait.
That's what recording's for, right? Records.
Yeah, we're recording a record. Ryan, drop a beat. That's your beat? Drop. Oh, wait. No. Taylor, you drop a beat. No. Just with your mouth. Like.
Oh.
Now, Ryan, rap for us.
Coming on the next one.
Next one.
I got no friends and I got no family.
I got no friends and I got no family.
I couldn't keep it on the second. That was the first thing you said.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the very second episode of Fancy Wolf's podcast, Important Business. I'm your host, Cameron Kennedy, and coming in on my right is my co-host, Taylor Robinson.
Rockin'.
Can you change it from howdy this time?
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, the first three times we did it, you said howdy.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with rockin'.
You're gonna go with rockin' now, okay?
Yeah.
And on our left is our other co-host, Ryan Koliakovo.
Howdy do.
Howdy. Oh, you're saying howdy? Wow.
You think you're better than?
He had his own flair onto it.
Howdy
It's like a
do.
remake, but he did it in his style.
Ryan knows all about remixing.
Yeah, as we heard in the whatever that was.
Pre-intro.
Yep. As you would have heard in the intro, this is Important Business, our weekly podcast where we get together and try to solve the world's problems. We post every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Atlantic time. That's, what are you doing?
Nothing.
9 a.m. Eastern and 6 a.m. Pacific, and then whatever other time zones there are, right?
You know, all those European ones.
Those ones I don't remember.
that
We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and you can also find us in video form on YouTube by looking up, just typing in fancywolf.com. That's the easiest way to get to that. It's easiest to find us on podcast services by either looking up Fancy Wolf or Important Business. Anyway, let's get down to business.
Rock on.
Rock on. You're going to do
So
the
you're
rock-
taking
you're
both
take-
of mine.
So
do we need
howdy-
to talk about this?
Howdy turned to Howdy Doody, was it?
Howdy do.
Howdy Do.
Are you having an identity
And rock
crisis?
Rock and turned to rock on. Wow. What else are you going to take from him?
Whatever I want.
Wow. Wow.
We'll see.
Okay. So, yeah. What we're going to do this episode is we've been contracted by Mr. Oldman, who is trying to put a monument in the Museum of Natural History looking for the best games of the last decade. So he wants us to go through and decide what each of our favorite game is from the 2010s. One per year. Though we're going to discuss others. So you guys have prepared yours?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So we're going to start with 2010.
He's using our opinion to create the list.
Yeah, he's using our opinion to create the list. Mr. Old Man does not play video games. He's too busy
Being old.
being old.
It's getting those young folks.
All his arthritis just gets in the way.
So yeah, 2010. That was about, for us, I don't know for Ryan, that was about a year, it was around late 2009. We both got our PlayStation 3s. Mm-hmm. Before them, we both had Wiis, which we were able to play a handful of things on at the time.
Beautiful games.
Yeah.
Sports
That's the thing is, like,
Resorts.
I didn't know the difference. I didn't have games growing up, really. We would have been in grade 7. Or we were in beginning of grade 8 is when we got our PlayStations. Before that, at grade 7, I got the Wii. Grade 6, I had a GameCube. Grade 5, I had a Nintendo 64. Before then, it was maybe some PC stuff and Game Boys. But yeah, so it was very quickly I got like an education in games for Nintendo from like the 3D era onwards, like one system per year, right?
You were learnt on the video games.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome because I got it was my cousin that gave me his old stuff, right?
Oh,
and so he had spent so much money on games that like I just got everything of the best stuff for like each generation.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, then so this was pretty early on for us. So like I think for my list at least, like my favorite games from the years, like the list gets much longer each year as it goes on because it was widening what I was playing.
Yeah.
I remember it was for me Infamous. I saw a trailer for it, and probably around when the game came out, which I think was like May 2009. I saw it. I was just up late, and it was probably like some late night ad that was playing. I didn't remember what it was, but I looked it up later when I realized like I had a bunch of money that I didn't realize I was saving up, and so bought that I think on Boxing Day 2009. And yeah, that was the game that got me into it, and so yeah, after that, I realized I was super into story-focused third-person action games.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what a huge part of my list ended up being.
So we're going to start discussing our top picks?
Yeah, so 2010, that would have been soon after. I don't know. What did you have for
remember when I
consoles in 2010?
Well, I have Skate 3 on here. And I know I had a PC.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's not all of these. The ones I put per year, we didn't necessarily play that year. I put them based on when they came out. But I did not play all of these the year they came out.
Which is why I don't
if
know
they were the
if
year
that's
that we
one I
played them, then it'd be like, obviously, Club Penguin or Habbo Hotel would
Sure,
be
that's
top
what we're
2010.
really into.
Yeah.
Are you pointing
I'm trying to think.
Are you pointing at your mic?
No.
No. Okay. You can move the mic to you.
No, it's fine.
No, it's fine. Okay. Yeah. So on my list, what I wrote down from that year, the ones that I really remember that like stood out to me, like you have games like I have them up on the screen here. Like there was Mass Effect 2, there was Red Dead Redemption, and there was Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Galaxy, yeah.
Those were the ones where I think they were really like those were what people were treating as like game of the year.
Yeah.
I was too early on, too fresh for like something like Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Even Red Dead I didn't play at the time, and Super Mario Galaxy 2, like I just got
We
the
didn't
PS3.
play Red Dead till like years later.
Yeah,
No,
it was a while
played it
later.
anymore, yeah. Then we
Where-
played online and
I played some story and we fucked around in online a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hell,
with
Store.
that was awesome. Where we held up one of the, I think it was a bank.
I thought it was a bar.
A theater.
Theater.
It was a
That's what it was. A
Oh,
theater. We went
yeah.
upstairs and we just held it up forever.
Yeah.
We would die and one person would come back and like we would.
Yeah,
have
we
the
would
two others
always
holding
try to
them.
make sure at least one.
Such a
person was
waste
there.
of time, but
Yeah, the bodies we laid that day.
But yeah, I think stuff like
Dropped 'em.
Mario Galaxy 2, like I know I didn't play because we
Mm.
just got a brand new console. Like I kind of forgot about the Wii after that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, what I have written down is Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
That was one where we played a few years later. You owned it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Your brother probably got that around launch
Yeah, he got it pretty early.
Yeah.
Heavy Rain was my pick for 2010.
for 2010.
actually.
Yeah, that was
Um,
when we
it
played
was-
through together.
Yeah, that was very iconic. I just can't get Sean out of my
Sean,
head.
and what was the
being
other guy's
yelled.
name?
I don't even remember. I just because there's that
Jason.
Jason. I just remember that scene going through the mall, screaming
Hmm.
Sean, and you guys sitting there purposely not going to where we needed to go, so you could spam the X button more. Because every about 5 to 10 seconds, the X button would come up, being like, "You can yell Sean." You're like, maybe if we do it the 97th time, he'll finally show up. If we just yell one more time. So I just
My favorite thing from that was there's that sex scene in the game, and it's still something we've quoted for the last 8 years maybe. Of Ryan where one of us was controlling it and he yelled at the TV, "Take off her bra." It's the worst fucking thing. I think your parents are upstairs. It's weird because we were a bunch of kids, right? And Ryan was especially young looking. He was
Super
this,
mature.
yeah, this weird looking little boy yelling for the video game character to undress the other one. The other one I had on here was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Sorry, not the other one. The next one I had on here.
I wasn't huge on Assassin's Creed.
I
games.
played them, but they're not memorable at all.
For me, the Brotherhood was I loved. Two is the one people really remember, but for me, Brotherhood, I think it was just because it got you right into it. Like it didn't have as long of an introduction. It wasn't as slow with that, and I really loved the Brotherhood mechanics. My favorite thing to do was there was something where you could call on your Brotherhood of Assassins to come help you. But if you saved up, there would be different chunks. Like I think one chunk, a certain number of assassins come, or maybe it's I'm trying to remember because it's been so long since I played it. I think it's you have same as ammo, right? You have 3 different things of 3 different times you can call your Brotherhood, right? And it fills up again over time. Mm-hmm. You could use all 3 at once and they just rain arrows down. And so going into areas and just using that and just taking everyone down at once. I remember stuff like that. I remember Brotherhood versus 2. It was the one where it was just one big open world. 2 was a bunch of small cities that you would have to load in between. And I remember, I think it was maybe your brother. him playing it at the time where I first saw it, and how much I love just being able to get onto the horse and travel through and being in these big open fields and seeing like these like historic Italian landmarks. That was really cool to me. Another one I had. Were you gonna say something?
I was just thinking a historic Italian landmark was like a man with a giant pizza, like statue. That's what I picture when I think of.
Cool.
Another one I've written is Limbo.
I didn't play Limbo.
Never played.
didn't
it.
play Limbo.
I
Limbo
bought
was
it.
cool.
I really.
I tried it once and I couldn't get past like the third level.
Yeah, it was very puzzle based because that seems like a you kind of game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I
one
just got
that
stuck and then quit.
yeah. I feel like they have their next entry that they had. I think it's Playdead is the developer. Their next one much more refined, I think. But I do remember Limbo. That was an Xbox exclusive for a while, I think. So another one that I played years later. Like so many, like
Yeah.
2010 was the most difficult year for me because I don't know if there's anything on this list besides Brotherhood that I actually played that year.
Yeah.
I think they're all ones that I went back and got after, but because we got stuff so late in 2009, we were playing the backlog of those systems.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the year I would have been playing Uncharted 2 and would have been still playing through some of Infamous and
Yep.
whatever other
Played
stuff had come
Uncharted
out,
2
right?
6 times.
It was so difficult making this list, so much stuff from 2009 that I loved and not being able to write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, because the thing
Let's
about
just scrap the whole thing and do 2009.
just add 2009 in there.
Yeah.
2009, we would probably, I would say Infamous. You guys would probably say Uncharted 2.
Definitely Uncharted 2. I
Think about how much time
Yeah.
we put into that multiplayer alone.
Deadly.
clocked 5 days in that multiplayer, but the
Yeah.
difference between that and a regular multiplayer is it takes forever to get a match.
How many times did you?
So-
Because did you platinum Uncharted 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
I played through the whole story 6 times.
Holy crap!
I played it through on normal, whatever the hardest one was before crushing because you couldn't get it.
Yep.
Then crushing, then very easy, and then normal again.
Wow.
The very easiest were to get all the trophies, so I wouldn't
Yep.
get killed by enemies. I tried to go through all the way through to actually get the trophies on my own. Got 2 more additional playing the entire game through, actively looking for them. Was missing 30 still, and then went through with a walkthrough to find them because
Right.
some of them you can't find them.
Yeah.
If anyone's ever actually done that, who's listening to this,
God, yeah, that's what I
you
always
can't
think is
find
like
some of them on your
there's
own.
some games where it's
impossible.
like, thank God I've always since I was a little kid looked up stuff on wikis online.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. Is one of the trophies was so hard that it was a level where you're going across essentially like almost skyscrapers, the roofs.
Yeah.
And then at one point, off to the side where you're not actually looking, it's off camera unless you turn your camera,
Yeah.
which you would never think to because it's a pathway. You're just walking past. There's nothing there. Is a ladder that actually goes all the way down this massive building.
Right,
Then you
right. I
run
remember that.
down. You're now just in these giant open areas and you're not supposed to explore. They're completely empty. You just run down a pathway between 2 buildings again that you're never even supposed to be able to get to normally. They're across the street.
Or you would think.
You would never think to because they're literally across the street and you never go over to those skyscrapers. You walk down that long hallway or down this long pathway like the street. You turn, go down a long another one. Then there's an open sewer grate. You go
Yeah.
down the sewer grate and down part of the sewer and there's the treasure. And
That's
it's like
something where-
you never even get off those skyscraper roofs, let alone in a sewer somewhere.
I
else.
think
Like,
that might be
that's
one of
the
my
difference.
least favorite, not my least favorite things in games. I'm very bad for that where I will, any pathway, like I've been playing Fallen Order lately, the new Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And it has branching paths, not like in the way of like story based, but it's very Metroidvania. Like you're giving these kind of Tomb Raider in the way of big open paths. You can go down a bunch of them, right? And you might unlock something, some side stuff. And there's a main path, but I am so focused from stuff like Uncharted of I know there's a main path and I want to explore all the side paths so I can go back to it.
Yeah.
I feel like that eventually just takes me out of the story where I'm just so focused on like
It's so
it can ruin
story-driven,
pacing
so-
to me sometimes.
Yeah. Honestly, like the best way to play through like any of the Uncharted games, in my opinion, is to play them on. If you're like skilled enough at it, you play enough of them. Play it on not crushing. Play it on the one just down from it.
Hard?
Like hard or very. I forget if they're
Oh,
hard or
very
very
hard,
hard.
very
Probably
hard,
very
yeah.
hard. It's challenging enough that you will die.
For me,
but
it
you
was
won't
normal.
in the pace.
Uncharted 2, I could have played on higher difficulty, but when I get to those freaking Yeti things near the end, I
Those.
hate
Yeah,
those.
that and the
complete,
larger.
I hate that section.
The bigger guys who had those like rail guns or whatever they were, the chain guns. Once you get to crushing, I think they take like 65 bullets to kill. Maybe like 30 if you're doing headshots, and it's like
Yeah, it's the thing for me is
that doesn't make any sense.
why like spoilers for ahead, I guess, but why I love 4 so much is it was the only game that didn't have like that hard enemy they add to the end of the game. Like the level
Yeah.
design is great through these games,
Yeah.
but then you get to the last third of the game and they just create a harder enemy, and that's not what the game is.
Yeah.
Games shouldn't be like. I don't like that difficulty it adds, where it's just finally a difficult enemy to defeat. It no longer feels like they really modify
Yeah.
the maps for
Well,
it. It just feels
yeah.
like a different kind of game.
The reason why I was going to say you want to play on that difficulty is because it's not so easy that
Yeah.
when you play on very easy, you can't die unless you try to.
Right.
It's too easy. And then it literally looks ridiculous because you also have auto aim. So you can just run at the enemies, not go behind cover, and just spam fire, and your guy will just whip his arm up
Right.
and shoot
Which,
them without
man,
having to do anything.
my-
I'm like, this doesn't even look right.
When I played through the remakes of the Uncharted games, my favorite thing to start doing was using that free fire without aiming.
Yeah.
And that made it feel like that's what
Yeah.
really defined that playthrough for me.
Yeah.
Of it felt so good. Of just it felt like an action movie. It felt like Indiana
Yeah.
Jones. And the way of realizing
When
how
they do that right,
where you
it's
could
done
actually
quite well.
you realize you could pretty easily hit them that way.
Yeah.
It became so satisfying.
Well, it was realistic. It's like, okay, I'm 3 feet from you. I'm not gonna sit here and whip out my pistol,
Pop up.
pop it up to
Aim
my
at you.
eye, aim
Yeah.
it with 2 hands, and look down the sights. Like, I'm gonna whip it out, aim in your general direction, pull the trigger. You know, like I'm not gonna waste time here trying to figure out where I'm aiming. It's not
Right.
gonna happen. So yeah, when they did that right, which doesn't happen on very easy, it's done quite well. So that's why I'd say play it on a game, play it on a difficulty like that. Because also, if you blaze through it too fast, it becomes something along the lines of like, "Hey, we got to prep up for this big mission. You know, it's gonna be really hard. There's gonna be all these enemies," and then you walk through it like it's a breeze, and then that just also ruins like the storytelling of like, well, that kind of doesn't sound right at all. Also, if the end of the cutscene is talking about how difficult it was, it's like, really, because it didn't look like it.
but this is also 2009 games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. As for 2010 again, though, for those, I also had written down stuff like, so yeah, it was Skate 3 we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's when I had written down, and Fallout New Vegas, Red
Is
Dead
that far
Redemption.
back?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Skate 3, it does not feel like that was almost a decade ago,
Wow.
right? Yeah, it feels way sooner. I think though, I played that demo so many times. Did you ever play that? They had a demo that they gave you just a section of like a map,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
limited to like 20 minutes, and I just would restart the demo over and over because you're skateboarding. Like I didn't care about progressing. I just liked
Yeah.
mechanics. Just realized something.
Oh.
MLB The Show.
Oh my god!
when is
You
that
guys
game?
play that demo?
When
Did
is
that? Did that demo have trophies?
I don't think
Which
so.
year? Which year?
There was a.
That's what I'm looking for.
Oh shit.
Oh,
no,
God,
we don't
right, they
know
make them
what
every year, right?
I don't know what. Yeah,
I
I
can
don't know
I
what
can
year.
find it for you guys. I can find.
No, I don't know what year.
But
game
it was it for
Yeah,
it was
no, no, no,
PS3 though, right?
Yeah. I
was.
can find the year for you guys though. If you
Probably
guys wanna-
13. I think 13.
You explain what you're talking about though.
So we played a demo on my PS3 at my house that would let you play the first 3 innings of MLB The Show, you know, a baseball game, of any game you wanted to play, as long as it was between only the 2 teams that they let you have, which I don't remember. There was like Yankees and
The Red Sox.
the Red Sox or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would just play back and forth this same demo, and we played it so much, and we got so good to it at a certain point that Ryan and I actually got tied in a game, and the demo won't cut your game off early at the 3 innings. If you're tied, it'll do like an extra innings like you would in real baseball.
Right. Yeah.
We got up to 17 innings in a single game because every time one of us would get the runs, the other one would match them exactly, completely not on purpose, about trying to win. I would like to point out I pulled out on top out of that one.
Yeah.
I remember that because I just
Yeah, you did.
like bragged to your dad
Dirty boy.
just for fun to mess with you. But yeah, we played that way too much. I don't know why we didn't just buy the game.
I
at
think
that
I had
point.
maybe been there for 2 sessions of that.
Yeah, we played.
But
it a
you
lot.
guys had played that a gross
yeah.
amount.
I think it made the
played
game
it
more
so
fun
many times.
because it meant you couldn't pull so far away that someone could just annihilate the other person. Because
Right.
if you get like a real baseball game's like what 9 innings?
Yeah.
It's 9 innings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 9 innings in, and you could be 7 innings in, and it's 10-1. Like,
Yeah.
why even play at that point?
Yeah.
So it became like a quick matches version of baseball. So it was just so much more fun.
Remember, I just come over just to play the MLB.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, dude, come
Just
over.
show up and
you'd
play.
bike over and just,
Play MLB.
Yeah.
I think it was 14.
It was 14? Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I'm looking just
14 looks the most.
I could have sworn there was some MLB thing that came out
Yeah.
that had trophies.
But it was
I
the
thought
full
that, but I guess
game
not.
up until the end of the 3rd inning.
Yeah.
Well, now I wouldn't
Yeah.
say full game. You only have 2 teams, but it didn't leave any features out. Not
Yeah.
because if they did, it would be a pretty crappy demo.
Yeah, it was just the 2 teams
Yeah.
and the 3 innings.
2 games.
It had all the features, like you could swap out
So why wouldn't
pitchers,
we?
you could, walk people on purpose, you could throw the
Yeah.
ball right at their head, and
That was great. Anyway, we'll save that for 2014.
we'll get there.
yeah.
But yeah, so
Forgot
yeah,
about that
my
game.
favorite I wrote down was Red Dead Redemption for that year, and it was just more like
Which year?
for 2010.
Wow, we're still in 2010.
We're still in 2010,
Okay.
but it's because we went back beforehand, right? And we've gone
Yeah.
forward, but yeah.
Okay.
What was yours that you wrote down?
I had some StarCraft because
Oh yeah, StarCraft was that
I
year.
played it,
You
but I
played
wasn't good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
you played with Daniel?
Yeah.
the games that
My
came out
brother.
this year, like StarCraft was that year as well. Call of Duty Black Ops. I'm surprised you didn't have that.
Yeah, I did play that, but it wasn't like
You weren't
Black
as
Ops
into
2 or
it-
Black Ops 3 level.
yeah, you were so into Black Ops 2.
so in Black Ops 2.
I thought 3 was the
I also had Puzzle Agent,
Oh yeah,
which was Telltale's
Yep.
like one of their
Well,
first games.
was it Elite? Well, oh no, I'm thinking of a different one. There's Elite Agent. That's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Puzzle Agent.
But they
Puzzle
had
Agent. I
this,
can picture the icon. I've never seen anything about that game.
It was so fun, and they had this art style from this one guy, Graham Annabelle or something.
Graham Annabelle. Is it like what's he usually do?
I don't remember. I think he does like comics usually, or
Okay.
animations, short animations. But he did like
Okay.
the whole game in his style, and it looks so good.
Did
and it
either
was-
of you play through Bioshock 2? That was that year. No.
No.
Only Bioshock I did was Infinite.
That's again like games like that where they're early on enough that
Yeah.
I wasn't quite. I guess I was old enough, but I was too fresh to it that these games that I would have probably loved to play that just
Yeah.
slipped by me. Just because 2 was also that year. That was another one that I loved, but like I just
Once they
fucked
get
around in
too
it.
old, they're video games for old men, and we're young, spry businessmen, so we just can't associate with them.
Right. There was also Force Awakens. Is that it? No, Force Unleashed.
Force
2.
Unleashed, yeah.
Yep. Did you play any of that?
I knew I
Yeah,
played
you
the Force
did.
Unleashed game.
I remember you did.
I
Wii.
played the demo a couple.
Oh
times.
wait, that was
Oh,
I'm
but-
thinking of the Wii game.
the
Yeah, the Wii one was the first one, wasn't it?
Super
Wait,
Mario
did that go-
Galaxy.
It would have come out.
Sorry, no.
then.
I'm reading
Yeah.
the wrong thing. Halo Reach. Did you play any of that?
No.
No. I played, I think, a tiny bit at our friend Brandon's place. And again, like, none of
Yeah.
these, like, these were big games that year. None of these were, like, spoke crazy to me.
No.
No.
2011, though. That was my fucking year.
That was, like,
your year.
That was a great year.
2011 is probably what I will, like, say is my favorite year for games. Arguably something like 2017. But up here, I have on the screen Portal 2, Skyrim, and Uncharted 3. And the only one of those that is in my top 5. I'd say maybe Uncharted 3 is definitely Portal 2. I don't even know if that reached my top 5 for that year.
Ooh, that was my top.
Top?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like, I have written down Portal 2.
Yeah.
That was that year. I loved that. First one I enjoyed. I had played the Orange Box, I think, the year before. But
I love the first one.
Portal 2, yeah, Portal 2 is fantastic. I remember I played that on PC because they had
Yeah.
way more sales.
I
think.
replayed it so many times too.
Yep, it's such a good game for that. And then Skyrim, obviously, I don't think there's much to say about that for us. Like, same as everyone else, like Skyrim was Skyrim, right?
Yeah.
Uncharted 3, which I loved. Uncharted 3 for a while was my favorite. I think most people like 2. 3, I think, was my favorite just because
I still sleep in an Uncharted 3 shirt at night.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah, I
that was the
remember
Best
that
Buy
now.
pre-order. That was
Yeah.
the worst pre-order bonus where it was so clearly an iron-on shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I cannot believe that they sold an iron.
shirt was
Yep, there was a
uncomfortable
white
too.
shirt.
Yeah.
It was just a you
The
get a
Uncharted
white
4 shirt was not
or-
good either.
The
It was itchy, short, with big sleeves. It was
what?
yeah.
Mine wasn't like that at all. What did you get?
That's 100% what mine was like.
Itchy? Mine's not.
It not itchy as I mean, like it was a cheap cardboardy material.
Oh, I kind of like the shirt.
I did not. It was not one I would even sleep in.
Oh no, I totally sleep in that.
But yeah, Uncharted 3, that was one where I remember that one. I think part of why I love it is even the way it opens up with that bar fight. That felt so different than the other games. Like it
Ryan
felt,
wouldn't know. He didn't play it.
I played Uncharted.
Ryan played
Yeah, I
Uncharted
know.
3.
I'm
Just the
kinda-
story.
I'm just
not
pissed
really the
'cause he-
multiplayer.
Multiplayer. That was the thing though. That's why I
I never got back into the multiplayer.
like most
for
people
two.
like when they think of
Yeah,
Uncharted,
it
they don't
wasn't
think of the
the
multiplayer, but we loved the multiplayer for 2.
Yeah.
And we
was great.
really loved for me it was the co-op in 2, where we would just try and get to the end of the hordes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
those
we
are
got
good.
pretty good at it.
Yeah.
3, the only time that I remember the only real memory I have of it where it was 2v2v2. Do you remember that? You and I
Yeah.
teamed up and we fucking destroyed that,
Yeah.
which I have not done in a multiplayer game since.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that
I remember playing 2 so much that I knew every single inch of every map.
Yeah.
So when 3 came around, I was like, I enjoyed it, but I just was like, do I want to relearn
Yeah.
this many maps? And the maps had so much more vertical elements to them than 2 did.
right.
Which is a lot harder to memorize or prepare for yourself for. And I just didn't get into it as much. But 2v2v2 was really fun.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that.
The I also have written down L.A. Noire, which is not one that I think most people like love, but I adore L.A. Noire.
Yeah.
And it's it part of it is that it's not a perfect game, and I think I liked it at the time because of, I mean, it was an interesting game. I liked, there's nothing that was really like it as far as like a game where you solve crimes like that in an open world.
Yeah.
But also it's a weirdly comedic game, and I've replayed it so many times just because like the character takes himself so seriously. But you
Yeah.
can play it, and everyone talks
Yeah.
about he's like this good cop, but he takes himself too seriously and everything. He's too much of a goody two shoes. Except you can play as the worst fucking cop ever. You can run
Yeah.
through people. You can destroy shit. You can just be the most incompetent person, but you play it so straight that it feels almost like Airplane.
I just remember you very consistently being like, "Hey Taylor, check this out," and I'd be like, "What?" And you're like, "Watch what I'm gonna do to my partner." You'd get him to get out of the car, and you'd either run him over.
That's the thing is,
and
if
then
you,
just
if you
hold the
ran
car-
over, if you
Yeah.
ran them over,
yeah,
then
it'd
they
kill
would
him.
die, and like
game
that's,
would over.
you have to restart.
Yeah,
But
you could pin
you
them.
could nudge them or pin them.
Yeah, you could pin
And it
them
would
under
just
the car.
nudge them enough to knock them over, and it would just kind of get over top, like
You'd lay over.
keep
You
knocking them over
Yeah.
until eventually it would go too far, and they would get stuck under for too long, and then it would die.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun to just mess with them. Like
Yeah,
that's
or you drive away and you keep doing that thing like people will actually do in real life, where you like
Yeah.
drive just fast enough that they can't catch up to the car, and the guy gets really pissed at you.
I love that game, and I think that's one that's one of the ones I bought the most times. Where I owned it for the PS3. I remember exactly. That's one of the games where I remember buying it because I had been watching videos of it online. I was too young for it at the time because it was very much a rated M game.
Yeah.
And so my mom drove me to Best Buy. The store was so close to closing, and it was on sale. And I went in, and I think I was 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And you had to be 18 to buy it. And they were like, "Do you have an ID on you?" And I'm like, "No." And they're just like, "Fuck it, whatever." And right as they did that, my mom came in, but they had already said yes, so I just bought it because like she was waiting outside because they were so close to closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I loved that game, and I remember, everything about it. I've bought it for PS3, Switch, PC, and I think I bought it for VR.
Didn't it have some weird achievement in the game where it was like drive every car in the game?
That's why, like, that's one where
And
I
it's like,
wanted to
I don't
platinum
even
so many
recognize
times.
any of these cars. They
The
all
ones
look like
that
they're from
stopped me
the
was drive every vehicle, and some were only in certain levels.
Yeah, it's like,
Like,
are you kidding
and
me?
other same with
I
guns.
can't even tell what any of these cars look like because none of them are modern cars. They all just look old
And
as hell.
there wasn't a
am I
checklist
supposed
either,
to-
really.
Yeah.
Like, it gave you
How am I supposed to know
silhouettes,
what
but that
to
was it.
drive?
The other was guns. Use every gun in the game, and those were the two where I'm like, I don't care. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Also, you're a cop. You're not really supposed to go around just guns blazing.
Well,
all
but
the
you
time,
couldn't.
right?
You couldn't. You can only
Yeah.
use guns during shootouts or certain missions.
So what are you supposed to be like? Shootout. Let me drop my handy dandy pistol here and go pick up that Tommy gun someone dropped.
Yeah, pretty
to
much.
make sure I shoot this
Yeah.
one. Like what? It just takes away from the game.
There was also Little Big Planet 2 that year, which
Wow, I
my
forgot about
first
that.
memory with that, which was very sour, and it's happened, I think, with 2 different Little Big Planet games. It happened with 3 as well, and it's horrible. Got through the whole game, unlocked a bunch of shit, and then my save file corrupted,
It's,
and had to redo it over again. I was like,
Really?
yeah, because it was some weird stuff, because there's so many glitches, people exploiting stuff in level makers, that's what would do it early
Really?
on. Yeah, little things like that, and God,
I just assumed you put some crap hard drive in your PS3 to have more space.
no. That's what did it, and it was awful, and whatever. But yeah, besides that though, like my memory of that, besides like again, I adore the game, but again, involved you guys with bot battles.
yeah.
Very specific. It was that's one where our friend Hannah, I introduced that to her. That's probably the only thing of Little Big Planet she's played. Where
Remember you showing all your siblings too?
yeah,
You
so
know,
Bot
what-
Battles was this level where Little Big Planet, it's this platforming game for, I guess if someone doesn't know about it, where people can create their own levels. And so what some people did was they created this thing called Bot Battles, which you were this silver stick, 2 silver arms. It was like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, but with moving legs.
Yeah.
And it was very awkward to move, and you would try and knock each other off the map. You could grab people, throw them, and tilt, and like it was this very awkward thing
You
that
individually controlled every limb and whether or not they were trying to grab.
yeah, and
So-
then you could also kick and weird stuff like that. But like
Yeah.
it was all very, it was very awkward.
Everything
and the
looked like it
physics
was a
were
mistake.
unbelievably off, and that's what made it so much fun. Where we realized, because of how the game works with 3 different layers, like 3 different planes within the Z-axis, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like depth.
Yep.
Yeah.
1 arm per each, and in the middle was your body. And we realized if you broke off your arms and legs because the game, like the level would glitch out,
Yeah.
then no one could punch you or grab you. And so the
Yeah.
game started off as us trying to wrestle and throw each other off buildings, and it eventually turned into
Rip my legs off.
rip my legs off.
I remember
rip
the
my arms off.
very common thing. We'd
Yeah.
be yelling at each other. Okay, rip my left leg off. Rip my right arm off. Quickly,
Because
come
that
on,
made the
stop an
matches
arm.
last so much longer. Where it was, we realized let's rip off all our
Also,
limbs
you
and
could
do
fly
you could
almost,
do
like-
crazy flips through the air like a
Remember,
Jedi,
like,
and make
yeah.
your way back up the side of buildings
Yeah.
with no arms and
You,
legs.
when you adjust the body,
Yeah.
you could essentially look like you were slinking up a wall, like a
Yeah.
straight vertical wall. You would just flip your character's body up and over itself, like end over end.
That's still one where I'm so concerned that the servers will go down for that game and we'll lose that specifically.
No.
Because I love bot battles,
Battles is-
and I don't like. That's the thing is, I
It
would.
could have been its own game.
honestly,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
Kind of
but
like a gang beast or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much what
it
it
was
was.
along the same
like,
lines, I felt, but
Yeah.
there was less broken.
It was around that era
Yeah.
of like similar to something like Gary's Mod or these other things where the jankiness added to it. Like that,
Yeah.
that was not
Once
the
you knew how to
intention of
hijack
Media
it.
Molecule with Little Big Planet, but it was for bot battles.
Yeah.
God, I loved bot battles.
Yeah, that was such a fun one. God, the number of times, rip my arms off.
That was
Come on.
so much fun. I also have on here Arkham City. That was one where Arkham Asylum, I had played through half of it a bunch of times and then watched maybe someone at your place play through it. It was just one where the
Norman
game
Dan.
was too not intense for me, but like it was the closest thing to a horror game I had played with the tight corridors and like people could pop out at you. That
yeah.
for me, games like that, sometimes I get too anxious. But this one where it was, I got it, and I remember playing through it a day and a half, maybe. It was over Christmas break, and I loved it. Just like, love that story. I think that still that might be my favorite in the series. But yeah, I love that one. I don't know if either of you played it.
I did.
I
You
played
played Arkham
halfway
City?
through
I
it.
didn't really like the Batman games that much.
No?
I didn't do much.
I like them, and then I just at some point completely forget what was happening in the story because I don't play it for long enough, and then I just have no interest anymore.
Yeah.
Like I just hit a point where I'm like, well, they're telling me to do something, and I literally have no idea why, and I
Right.
just get out of it. It's the same with like Uncharted games. Like I love them, but if I don't play them fairly straight through, I just completely drop off because the story is what's driving me. Like the gameplay is really fun, but the story is what's keeping me in.
Yeah,
if it's
and
not
I love
there,
their
then-
version of the characters and everything, and their
Yeah.
versions of stories. I also have written down Saints Row the Third. I don't know if there's much to say about that. Just fun game.
I spent so many hours customizing the cars in that game to make them
Yeah.
like as cool as I could. So when 4 came out and cars were irrelevant,
Yeah.
I was kind of pissed.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I like 3 more than 4. Is just 4 was
4 would have been great
4 felt
as like,
like-
a 3-hour game.
my bigger
that showed off everything
issue
they did
with
the
4
power.
is 4 felt like a mod of 3.
Yeah.
in that
but the mod broke it.
the whole game was the exact same except they added in superpowers and it didn't work well mechanically. It very much felt like a mod where it's like we increased how much you can jump and how fast you can run. Like the powers did not feel like some other superhero series where it was created with that in mind. It so felt like an add-on.
May as well have been, wasn't it? Like the same.
Yeah, well,
thing?
the crazy thing is 3 had DLC where during one of the, like, added DLC story, which is like an hour long, and maybe 10 minutes of it, you had superpowers. They're pretty much the exact same powers.
Yeah.
They pretty much turned that into 4, right?
Yeah.
But Another one I've written at the bottom here was Minecraft. The beta
Minecraft
had been
too,
out
yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
That was the
It's hard to
official
tell.
launch. That was
Yeah.
1.0. That was the launch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got back into it a bit then, didn't we?
That's that's when we got really into it.
Yeah, because I definitely played
2011
it for a
because-
while during beta.
Yep. Well, we would play it, but that was when we were like, okay, like, because we did not have proper copies of that game at the time.
Yeah.
We were waiting because in our heads we hadn't been buying games online yet.
Yeah.
Ryan maybe had a proper copy.
Yeah. I had
In my head, it was retail release meant I could go into the store and buy a code for it. I did not realize what it actually meant of just 1.0, like
Yeah.
proper version of the game released. And so, yeah, we eventually did that. I think Ryan just bought it for us with his mom's credit card or
I had
something. We
PayPal.
paid you back.
You,
Oh, yeah, PayPal.
used
Yeah.
PayPal and you bought it for my birthday and called my character Badass Taylor, and
Yeah.
I never got to change the name
told
because
you could change it.
you straight up lied to me. You were like, "Hey, I'm gonna name your character. Are you okay with whatever it is?" I was like, "I don't really have anything in mind." You're like, "Okay, well, don't worry about it too much because you can always change it later." And I was like, "Okay." And then Badass Taylor was my name, and I
Which so funny.
because I realized I could never change. And anytime I went onto a public server, I
They
just had
thought
to
you
deal
were
with
real
that.
badass.
They thought I was a real 12-year-old, even though I wasn't.
No, you were 15.
Yeah, so much older.
And then the one that I have as my favorite for the year was Infamous 2, which is the game the most I've ever been excited for a game of. I remember 2010 Z3 where that was announced. In that full year, like on the forums for the developer, every single day, just getting every detail. And then all the podcasts and stuff that I listen to now. Like I'm wearing this kind of funny shirt, the one that I designed for their Extra Life, and that's what got me into like those guys. Was because I was so obsessed with the lead up to this game that I started listening to their podcast.
You know, the first Infamous is where I realized you were a really big nerd because you came to school in junior high and we're like, "Hey guys, I played Infamous on the weekend." We're like, "Oh yeah," and you're like, "Yeah, I beat it." And we're like, "Didn't you just buy it?" And you're like, "Yeah, I sat down and I played the entire thing," and that was it. Like on that
Infamous
weekend,
2.
you was it 2?
Infamous 1, I got it over Christmas break and it took me a while to beat.
Okay, then it must
Infamous
have been
2, I beat it in like 2 days,
Yeah.
but that was closer to the summer.
Yeah, all I remember was that we were at school and I was pretty certain it was junior high, which wouldn't have been.
It would have been,
2011.
it was 2011. It was, because
Oh,
it came out,
okay.
it was junior high.
Oh, it was the end of it.
Yeah,
then.
let me check. I think
Yeah.
that game launched in June.
Well, yeah,
May or
and then
June.
I was like, man, he beat a really long game in one weekend. He must be a big
Yeah,
old
June
nerd.
7th it came out, 2011.
Yeah, that must have been just the very tail end then of.
And that was also the year of the PlayStation Network outage. And that game came out just after it, I think.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Do you remember that month PlayStation Network went down because it was hacked?
Oh yeah.
That's why I think I love this year so much is look at the friggin' PlayStation exclusives. Like you have Infamous 2, you have Uncharted 3, you have Little Big Planet 2. Like those were their heavy hitters
Yeah.
for the PS3 era, right? Like
Yeah.
those were their franchises. They had that and a bunch of other stuff like Twisted Metal and SOCOM, and they still managed to fuck it up. Right?
Yeah.
Like that was such a fun year to be a fan of that. It was just entertaining. I think that's why I got so into games and gaming podcasts is because of that year. Like I had a love for these games, and there was such an excitement for it. But it was also so entertaining for like seeing people who also loved these things also be like, "How are you screwing this up?"
Yeah.
There was something like it created it was just entertaining. That's all it kind of was.
So what happened with that PlayStation hack? I'm kind of curious about that.
It's
now.
a long story.
Was it?
Yeah, it's a long story.
Was it people trying to get things for free or what?
No, it's a long, like a long.
No. But give me the TLDR.
It had to do with Linux support when the PS3 originally launched being taken away and branches off of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's 2011.
Terraria also came out in 2011.
Yeah. So there's other
Wow,
things like
yeah.
Dark Souls, Terraria, Battlefield 3, Modern Warfare 3. I remember that was huge. And not like these aren't ones.
Modern
where I-
Warfare 2 was the bigger one.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like 2 was the one that launched them, but I feel like the lead up for 3 was bigger than the lead up for 2.
Yeah.
Right.
But every time somebody talks about Modern Warfare, they're always
But
talking
2's the
about
beloved one, and that's more what I mean, like how the excitement level.
2. Yeah, I guess
right?
it's starting to
it's more because 2 is the beloved one that 3 had this excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also Dead Space 2, Assassin's Creed Revelations, which is one of my least favorite, and games like Catherine and what else is on here? Bunch of stuff.
Well,
I did
Uncharted
not
3 was
look
my
up.
favorite.
Yeah, mine was
Because you got to
too.
fly out of
Uncharted 3 was close.
airplanes.
Yeah, so that stuff like that, like those 70s
That was-
are what I liked more than
That was
two,
one
right?
of my favorite levels just in a video game where you're free falling for what
Brian?
feels like
Two
forever,
parts?
just dodging
Yeah.
the debris
What?
out of a
You
plane.
two parts.
We might, but we'll see.
Goodness
Because we
gracious.
can't record next time with Hannah with this.
True.
Yep, we'll just get through them faster. So 2012. I'll go through my list a little bit quicker because we're taking a long.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
So I have The Walking Dead.
Whoa, whoa,
Telltale's
whoa,
Walking Dead.
whoa, whoa.
Oh, sorry. I'll change the photo.
Speaking of set pieces,
Yeah.
you're
There we go.
disgusting.
So on here,
There.
on the
Oh.
screen, I have Journey, I have Dishonored, and I have The Walking Dead Season
My
1.
first question, what is Journey?
Journey was...
I don't know if I've ever seen that. Have I? What is
Really?
that?
It was a
recognize the
small.
It was created by That Game Studio. I think that's the name of the company,
I don't know.
or the developer.
Wow.
It was abstract.
Or maybe it's That Game Company.
You would walk
That-
around.
It's been...
This sounds familiar.
Yeah, That Game Company, sorry, is what it's called. They made the game Flower, they made the game Flow, then they made the game...
I know
Journey.
Flow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Like
I
an
mean, Journey.
abstract.
Journey was their one that was getting a bunch of Game of the Year awards.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not in the know.
No, but yeah,
Yeah,
Clearly.
that was
I was too busy with my maths.
that was one where I enjoyed it, but I had played it after it had been talked up so much that I don't think it hit the same way. There was also that year Borderlands 2, which I liked. It did not
I never got into
completely click
Borderlands.
with me.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 3, which I feel like I would have really loved if I didn't have to get through that friggin' it felt like 6 hours of tutorial. It was so long. It was so long before you even got to play as the main character. You're playing as his dad for like a chapter, I think. That was brutal.
Ad Simulator.
Hotline Miami was that year though.
Yeah.
I loved Hotline Miami.
Hotline Miami is a great game. Never beat it.
I
but got
couldn't beat
pretty
it
far.
until I went. I was so bad at it, and then
Was
I
it like
went
15
to.
chapters or something like that?
I can't
12?
remember now.
I
but
know I
went
got
to-
I got like 3/4 of the way and then it got too hard.
I got to Ryan's place. Like, well, that's the thing is, I had been able to beat maybe chapter 1 or 2. Like, I was so bad. At it. And I went to Ryan's
Oh, yeah,
place
I
and
remember.
I watched him play a little bit, and then I played through some there. I went home and I just beat the game that day.
Wow.
Yeah, because it just clicked for me how you had to play it, and I loved that one. 2, I can get into as much. I loved 1. I also have Gravity Rush, which again was the Vita game. I had that. Tales from Space, that was one of my first ones I had on there, with Uncharted Golden Abyss, another one that I loved. That kind of crazy that there was a very short period where I think because it had launched in Japan in maybe 2011, I think Uncharted came out then. Because I know the Vita came out in like March 2012. So we had an Uncharted in November 2011 and a new one in March 2012.
Oh, you mean the Vita one?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Right.
And then
Yeah, the one that nobody played.
Little Big Planet Vita, which is the best version of it.
Really?
And it's just like, because I think 3 went too far with just adding shit on. It just felt
Did it
another.
have bot battles?
It didn't, but that could have been added. I mean, again, that's.
Sounds like an excuse.
I mean, it could have been there. I just never looked for it because no one was playing multiplayer with me on that. But it was one where, like, as far as like the puzzle stuff goes in that game, like it had the back touch, it had the front touch. That stuff worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And it just, it was very cool. It was a very good looking game for a handheld. But my favorite from that year, I have these 2 written down. Where The Walking Dead Season 1, I think, was probably my favorite, tied with possibly Sleeping Dogs, which I love Sleeping Dogs. That's another one where I
Yeah.
think I've bought that 3 times.
I played through Sleeping Dogs like a year ago.
Yeah.
Got about halfway through the game, and the files got corrupt. I just couldn't play the game.
yeah.
Like, I go to launch on Steam, it just says launching, and then the launching turn disappears, and then nothing happens. And I was like, well, guess I'm not playing it anymore.
I
But,
bought it on PC and I was considering streaming it, but I
yeah.
didn't. I just played through
The
some of it.
Walking Dead, though, fantastic.
Season 1, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
that was amazing.
that's
That was the first
where-
time I ever played a game.
Do you remember?
Nearly like that?
Obviously, we saved Carly at the end of episode 1, and we gave Ryan shit for so long for saving Doug.
Doug,
we
what a piece of
hated
shit.
Doug. Ryan tried to justify it so much. And I remember one of the later episodes, maybe it was episode 2. It was like, like
you talking about the bell system
Carly was
you made?
actually useful, and Ryan tried to justify it because we're at his head. Because we watched Ryan play through it. I think.
Yeah, we did.
And he
Yeah.
saved Doug, and we made fun of him. And we get to episode 2, and he's trying to talk about like, oh, Doug
Doug's
rigged
like a
this thing for the
handy,
bells so that when people were arriving at their base.
Yeah.
Then it rang them. It was like, it's fucking useless. That's not solving shit.
Because but the only people it alerted you for were people that you found out about anyway, because they literally walk up to your base going, "Hello, anyone there?"
It was that was literally
we knew
all
they were
he
there.
did.
Yeah, and the alarm
God,
went
that
off.
sucked.
Like you said, as they're arriving. It's not in advance. It's like they're upon you.
And
Just so you know.
I remember Doug was, I'm pretty sure I remember Doug was very aware Carly was the better one.
Yeah.
I'm watching Ryan play
he
through,
was.
and he was like, he was worried about it, and he mentioned it, and Ryan did not comfort him, like, yeah, I probably should have saved Carly was the answer.
Yeah.
Doug was so
bad.
sad. But yeah, The Walking Dead
Didn't
season
he
1
die
was,
pretty quick too?
Yeah.
yeah, they both did.
Oh, well, like anyone you decide to save will eventually die because
Yeah.
the story has to converge. To
it,
some-
it funnels in,
yeah.
right?
I had Black
But
Ops 2.
he died.
You have
just,
Black Ops 2?
without dignity.
Yeah.
Black Ops 2 is your number 1?
No. Walking Dead was my number 1.
I'm not saying this judgingly. I'm just
No, I know.
Yep. I had Walking Dead season 1. 'Cause, I mean, that was just a special game of like.
The farm was unreal.
Yeah, I remember the
just
reveal of the
anything and
farm.
everything involving the farm.
Yeah.
Once it
was
starts
such
escalating,
a slow build.
it was a really good build because
God,
there was
and when you go upstairs and you find him up there.
well, that's just it. Is that.
Uh,
And like the whole thing where they point out that there was clues the entire time where they're like you're eating a dinner, and like the thing where they finally reveal it, he's like, "Why do you think we're at a dairy farm eating meat?"
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Ah, shit."
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
For context, that you go to this farm, these people come, they're willing to help you. There's this one guy that was with you that gets injured. You don't see him for a while. And there's a bunch of people downstairs eating food, and the main character Lee is getting suspicious. He goes upstairs. It's like thunder and lightning going on. You get to the top of the stairs, and you see that they've been chopping this guy up into meat.
Yeah, because they've been talking about before how they would want to feed, they want to like give you dinner, and they give you a big roast essentially, and it's like,
Where did this come
in
from?
case you're unaware, dairy farms don't have meat at them.
Yeah.
So where during a zombie apocalypse did you manage to get fresh meat from? You know,
That was so good. I still think
Yeah, that
that
was
was so much better than
unreal.
any season of the show. Like I love
Oh,
the Walking
yeah.
Dead season on that
It was amazing.
game, and then
because
Sleeping Dogs.
well, it was such a slow build of like, okay, they seem weird, like weird people. Okay, well they seem like. Or first it seemed like, okay, they might not be very safe here because we don't know how they're keeping themselves safe. Okay, well, it seems like they're safe, but they also seem a little bit weird. And then, okay, maybe it's a bit more than just weird. We don't really know what they do here. What's their relationship to each other and
Yeah.
how do they interact? And it just slowly goes off that and that until eventually it gets to the point where they're like locking you in a meat locker to freeze to death and stuff like that. And it's so extreme eventually, like you'd never see it coming.
It was a cool game, and that was such a cool. I think that episode 2 might be my favorite episode, besides maybe the finale. But
Yeah.
Sleeping Dogs, and again, like just little mechanical things that I so wish made it over to GTA stuff. Like I wish GTA played out more like a ridiculous action movie where you could jump from your vehicle to another vehicle and get in it, and it
Yeah.
felt right though. It didn't feel like over the top, super powered way because he's barely holding on and you're
Yeah.
pressing buttons to make sure he does. But just stuff like that just felt so unique to it, and the little stuff with like how you would do a stunt and then be able to shoot in slow motion.
Yeah.
And the focus on hand-to-hand combat rather than like using guns, all that just felt so unique compared to something like GTA.
GTA makes me very much like combat's happening to you right now or anything like violent.
Yeah.
Your character is now a literal ragdoll.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they're ragdolling. It is you're lifeless until you eventually stop being hit by whatever it is that
Oh,
is hitting
GTA
you.
just
know?
yeah.
So it's like there's none of that jumping from vehicle to vehicle and looking
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm off balance. The second your character ever gets off balance on anything,
They're down.
They fall
Yeah.
over and they're rolling around.
Which
like
there's a fun
lunatic.
thing too that I just wish it was if you played well enough you could do this shit like in Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah.
Like I always wanted it to be in GTA that I could especially in online, that if my friend has a helicopter that like on top of a building and they're close to me, they could jump into the open part. Just little
Yeah.
things like that I would have loved.
Yeah, instead you would literally
that-
get the side of it and then ragdoll off.
What was it for Black Ops 2 though? Because I remember how obsessed you were with that through junior high. You and our friend Bill.
Yeah, I don't know. We just kept playing it. There was just something different about it. And I know it sounds stupid because it's
No,
like,
it was a lot better than the other one.
Yeah.
At the time,
I mean,
though.
that's-
I don't know what
Ghost
made
was
it better.
Black Ops
notoriously
2, like they're
bad.
two franchises pretty much. Were Modern Warfare
Yeah.
and Black Ops. Those were the two people giving
yeah,
shit.
I didn't like Modern Warfare at all.
No.
Modern
which
Warfare
is
was also
weird.
notorious for having the worst spawns. because it didn't have spawn areas; it had spawn points.
Right.
So all I had to do was sit somewhere, aim my sights,
That's right.
and literally just unload full auto, and I'm going to kill 3 people before my clip's empty. So a lot of people jumped ship off of that once it became like a very obvious where, I saw the guy spawn over there. All right, just going to wait till his teammate shows up.
Right.
Black Ops 2
Didn't
had
matter.
the,
Like, it literally didn't matter if there was 3 enemies on top, like right on top of the spawn point. They'd still spawn there. So Black Ops wasn't bad for that, though.
Yeah, Black Ops 2 had they weren't that bad for it.
I didn't
They
play
tried
2
to
very
like
much,
do
but 3
like
was
an area thing. You can't spawn in an area if someone's near it.
Right.
But they
But
also,
also
have
the
the
fact
mini
that it is
too.
an area, right? It's not a spawn point. It's a
Yeah.
spawn area, so you can't just point at it. With
They had
your
the
gun.
mini games like gun game and one in the chamber too.
Yeah,
love
those were actually really fun.
So for 2013, then the ones I have up on screen: BioShock Infinite, GTA 5, and The Last of Us. Where for me, I have written on here as well Tomb Raider, which I loved. I adore the reboot of Tomb Raider. Going back, I don't love the story, but I love
Yeah.
the character.
Yeah.
And I love the setting. There's so much. I just wish the story itself was written better, or at least different. I guess just it's not as memorable as I. Going back to it, the big heavy parts of the story I don't remember, but the story as a whole feels memorable to me. Maybe it was just the atmosphere. Maybe it was just this weird era in 2013 where things were being rebooted, still a little bit gritty, and it was cool to see the character with the bow and arrow rather than the 2 guns. There was something about that I just liked, that it put this emphasis on her being surviving on the island. Stuff about that I just loved. Then again, BioShock Infinite, not one I played, one that I think you played.
I played through it twice. Both points, I get 3/4 of the way through the game, and the files were corrupt. And you like
Was this your computer? Because this happened a few times.
Sorry, files didn't corrupt on this one. There was either files corrupt or the graphics driver was broken, because you'd essentially get to a point where if you walked into this room, all the walls went from being horizontal to just freaking out, and you couldn't see.
Right.
And then as soon as you backed out of the room, it went back to normal. And I uninstalled the game, reinstalled it, and played it again all the way from the beginning. The same thing happened.
Okay.
So I never beat it. So I wasn't about to play through the 3rd time.
Yeah, it's one where I put some time into it, but again,
really fun up until 3/4 of the way through the game, though.
it's one of those games where when a series is so beloved, I feel almost bad jumping into a later entry. Even though I know there's not like a big connection between
Yeah.
Infinite and 1 and 2. I
Yeah,
just
I
feel
don't
like
think
I
it's
should be getting the full history. Similar to like I've struggled with that with like I never want to jump into. I'm trying to think of another one. Like Metal Gear Solid was one where it's like I feel like I think I've bought all of the past ones, but I don't want to ever jump into.
I'm pretty
one.
sure, from what I've heard, 5, you definitely don't need to know the story.
Oh yeah,
It's not required by
we'll
any
get to
means
5
later.
later. But I also have written on here Gone Home, which was an indie game, that I loved.
Gone Home got me so like anxious the
Yeah.
entire time for no reason, and it did it so well.
We have one game from 2012 that I didn't have written down, but I'm surprised you didn't either. Spec Ops: The Line. I'm just remembering.
I was thinking about Spec Ops: The Line. I remember enjoying it. Don't remember anything about it.
For me, it was I only played through a part of it. It was a busy year, as you can tell from the past list.
Yeah.
But I remember elements of the story that I adored. Especially there's that one where it's kind of like it sets itself up thinking like it's another Call of Duty in the way of like, even though it's third person, just a army action game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really where it really questions you. It really I think the game literally asks you if you still think you're the hero, like with the fucked up stuff you're doing. Like, it's not going to be the thing of Call of Duty where it's like you throw a Molotov and the person burns and the enemy's dead. It's more the game really makes you question using these weapons, right?
Yeah.
And just your actions and stuff like that. I thought that was just interesting. But yeah, back to 2013. So Gone Home. My 2 favorites I have down are Grand Theft Auto 5 and The Last of Us. Yeah. Again, some of these these were such clear Game of the Year nominees. I don't know how much I can say that hasn't been said already about them. The Last of Us, it's weird it's on there because I have struggled through only getting through half of that game like 3-4 times. It's another game where I adore it, but I am too anxious because with these kinds of, especially stealthy games, that I take things nice and slowly, but something that should take someone 10 minutes can take me an hour because I'm going so slowly.
I never could play it because of the whole needing resources. I just can't.
That's for me is where I'm
it.
so anxious, where it's like I'm playing so carefully, but because I'm playing so carefully, there's more to lose for me because
Yeah.
I'm not losing 10 minutes. I'm losing an hour if I die.
Yeah.
And that just becomes too much for me. Where eventually some
I
of the
love
ways.
watching people play it though.
Me too.
So
Well, I've
entertaining,
watched people
yeah.
play it through. Our friend Tyler has done it a few times. There's a few games on the list like that.
Yeah.
Where for that one, some of the times where how I've tried to train myself out of that is go into an area and die as fast as possible on purpose. Like make as much noise and have someone kill you, and just when it bats at you and you have a chance to go away, don't do it. Run back at them.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, that's how I got through one of the levels the first time, just by coincidence. Is played like an idiot and somehow killed them.
Oh, nice.
But that's usually how I have to do it, is force myself to die in these games, and then I can keep going.
Yeah.
Which is why I've been meaning to go back and give it a proper playthrough before the next one. And then with Grand Theft Auto 5, we put so much time into that, and online I don't know much there is to say about that either. But like, that was my first proper Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, me too.
And one of my memories with that one very specifically is the whole map being not like it's still like shadowed out, like still fog fog over everything on the map, but going and thinking like, okay, I think I was playing as Franklin. I just got in a car and I just went through a drive, like a road trip across the map. It's like, I'm gonna find some cool clothing stores for this character and just drive across the whole map and check out every single one.
Yeah.
I loved stuff like that in the game, and I remember everyone like being so excited to find every little hidden secret.
Yeah.
That was special. And then I also have written on here. So yeah, for me it was Grand Theft Auto, The Last of Us. What were your guys's for 2013?
Oh, mine was just GTA.
GTA,
100%.
yeah.
I could never play Last of Us, so I can't really say it was. Very entertaining. Same with Bioshock. Great game, but definitely GTA for sure.
Yeah.
I had GTA too.
GTA.
But I also had
Also the amount of online that we played.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Even still, like,
that's the
once in a while
game
with the
that
DLC,
online is
man.
what I put the most time into, because we just treated it as a way to fuck around.
That might have been like one of the few games I've ever bought in multiple systems because I wanted to play it again.
Yeah,
I had it
I
on
GTA
PS3 and then on
5
PS4,
on
right?
PS3, PS4, and PC.
Yeah, like I don't know if I've ever even done that. For
And Ryan owns it on more. Ryan owns it on
I had it on 360, PS3,
360,
and
PS3,
PS4.
and
Yeah.
not PC yet.
No PC yet.
Okay,
Marshall
yeah.
bought it for Xbox One.
Oh yeah.
Also though.
Yeah,
Right,
There's
Marshall's
so
Ryan's brother.
many,
Yes.
so many games.
And so what was it you had written?
I also had Electronic Superjoy.
Oh yeah, that's one.
Wow, you had to play that.
That's why when I
Destroyed.
think of games like that are Ryan games, that's one of them.
Destroyed that game. I bought the second one. I haven't played it yet though. But this is like the first game that I brought my controller to school to play it at school.
Which is a
'Cause I
weird
was
thing to
so-
do.
Yeah, it is, especially for me because I
Yeah.
didn't do that. But
Yeah, you are a pretty big
absolutely
nerd, dude.
adored that game.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a very definitive. This is a Ryan game, not a game that we would play. That was a game
Yeah.
Ryan would play.
Well, we're not allowed. It's a Ryan game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
was the
for
only
me,
one
like
that
there's certain
played it.
games on here that I think
The only person in
that
general.
are very specifically like each of us have our own very unique, like our lists are similar and our favorites might be different, but there are very unique choices on there, right? And then I also have written on there Outlast
I had the-
because we played. That was one where we
played
played
that
together, and
Oh,
that was another
yeah.
one where there's a few on here
Yeah.
where I loved it because of the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it was where
Outlast is
we would get
great.
together, and that's where I think we fell in love with getting together to play through horror games, which we've done
Yeah.
quite a few times.
So when you say getting together to play through horror games, you mean for the first few was getting together and making Ryan play horror games?
Right. We would go through
And then we'd
a hallway
watch.
or two,
Yeah.
and then
I
we
never
could do
played
this.
because I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You guys
I-
play too slow.
I'd freeze out.
Yeah, Ryan would
'cause I
play
didn't-
like an idiot. The worst,
'Cause I had to.
biggest
But you-
fucking moron, but
Yeah. But in a
he
good
would
way.
get through.
But I had to. Do
It
to
was
get
like,
through.
in the moment you do something really dumb, and then do something equally as dumb that would accidentally fix the first problem.
Yeah.
And not even mean to.
Like, I just
but
slam
if
open
I was,
doors.
Yeah, you, well,
God,
I
it was
remember
so good. How many doors you would just slam?
Slam.
Yeah, I love that they would let you you could close it quietly or you could slam it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For reference, this is a horror game where you're in an asylum where there's a
Right.
bunch of
Well,
murderers.
that's the thing is
basically
for
trying to
this
kill you,
episode, if
so-
someone doesn't play games, then
Yeah.
they're gonna be lost in this one.
yeah.
Too many games. We're already we've been recording at this point for an hour.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot to get through. So 2014, we have Destiny I've written down, Dragon Age Inquisition, Shadow of Mordor, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4, Sunset Overdrive, Infamous Second Son. My favorite one, though, was South Park Stick of Truth. Those other ones, that was a weak year for me.
Far Cry, I had.
2014,
That's my top.
Far Cry 4.
I played
Yeah,
the shit out of Far Cry.
We
4.
played a lot co-op, I remember.
Yeah, it was fun.
We had
was just fun.
a lot of fun just fucking around in that one.
Yeah, hunting animals.
Yeah, which I
was
remember
fun.
how ridiculous it was, where we would just get meat from an animal,
Yeah.
then throw it down, and then more would come, and we just had a pile of them. It was
Yeah,
ridiculous how
we just
hunting
throw
worked.
meat, shoot it, get its meat, throw more meat, shoot it.
For me, yeah, South Park: The Stick of Truth was mine because it was one of those games where
So weird.
it was weird, and it was
Weirdly different gameplay too.
it was.
Like
I mean,
I
it
wouldn't
was
play a game like that usually.
it was like it was baby's first
Yeah,
like turn-based RPG, and that's the kind of way for these games that are outside of my normal space. I like when they're like that.
Yeah.
They kind of bring you into it. It's like, oh, there's aspects of this I like where I usually wouldn't touch this.
Pretty sure I played through it twice. It, like,
Yeah, oh no,
I like it.
it's a really good game, and
it's really fun.
it was one where it's like, wow, like because
never
of the
played
art style,
Destiny,
it
was
looks
it?
like the TV show,
Yeah.
and it was written better than most seasons of the show, I would argue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really cool one. I also have written at the bottom, Infamous Second Son.
Yeah.
That was one where should have been my favorite of the year. Some stuff with like the gameplay was more polished. The game was beautiful. Little things that just didn't make me adore it. And I think this was one of those times where I've been anticipating this game for so long, and I had to break up the exact day it came out.
Yeah.
And so that happened. And then 10 minutes later, I was home, and the game was like, oh, you can now play. It's like, well, all right. So I think that left like a sour taste in my mouth of
Yeah.
like,
Guess I'll do this.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I was so excited, so looking forward to it for so long. And then like, it's like, this has not been a great day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how much there is to say for that year though.
Yeah, it
'cause
was weak.
20, I mean, like,
I
that's the thing is there's a lot of
played so
great
much
special
Shadow
games I
of
love,
War.
but yeah, that's
Yeah, you
Shadow of
did.
War.
I played, like, I love the combat in that game, but I ruined it for myself because I didn't understand how the game worked because I didn't progress very far. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but how the boss guys work. Like, they're scattered across the map, and if they kill you, they level up and get stronger. Well, unfortunately, literally the very beginning of the game, you need to walk to an area to like start the first mission, and they randomly spawn these enemies. 3 of them decided to be right between me and there, and I couldn't run by them. So they killed me about a dozen times and all leveled up far stronger than they were supposed to be that early on. So what I had to do was like level grind my character up a bunch, go through, kill all of them. So when you killed them, they went down in a ton of levels.
Right.
To the point that the entire random spawning enemies that could appear were all extremely weak in comparison to me. And it took me forever to do that.
Right.
And then I progressed through the store because I could finally do it now because I was actually strong enough to do it, to reveal to you that there's multiple areas that I hadn't even unlocked yet that all have completely different armies that are separate from the one I'd been fighting the entire time. So I spent like 10 hours grinding on something that was supposed to take me
this
2
one, yeah.
to not even be good enough to fight the ones in these other areas yet because I was supposed to progress past this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not interested
That was
anymore.
one where I
Just, like,
enjoyed it more.
moved on,
I loved the Nemesis system, and I wish that
Yeah.
I want that in a Spider-Man game. I want that in a Batman game. I think it was originally rumored to be developed for a Batman game, and then wasn't put into it. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's true, but I think I heard that at one point. I wanted a superhero game because that sounds awesome. And because that's the thing is, I like Lord of the Rings. I don't love Lord of the Rings. But that was a cool game. I
It was-
think I
it was
played more
really
of the
fun.
sequel than I played of the first one. But
I got the sequel. I actually.
so is that what was your game of 2014?
It was Stick of Truth. Stick of Truth.
Okay. Yeah, Stick of Truth for me.
love
What was
it,
yours?
but,
Far Cry.
What was it?
Far Cry.
Far Cry, right. So, 2015. 2015 was a bunch of cool stuff that year. The Witcher 3. Not something... I know a lot of people loved it. I had some issues with it mechanically.
I never played it.
It's a cool game, and it's one I keep
Oh,
wanting
wait,
to
I
get
tried
back
to,
into.
but it was so slow.
For me, it was just the thing of like... It feels cumbersome. I don't love the way you move in that game.
Yeah.
And it's such a small thing, but you do it constantly that it's just... I've restarted that game so many times, and I get like even 20 minutes in, I'm like, God, I just don't like the way it moves. Whereas the first time, I really enjoyed my time with it, but it's hard to get back into, and there's so many games that just... I love good feeling traversal. I also have written down Metal Gear Solid 5, which was another one where I enjoyed my time with it. I could not get far because another stealth game where it should have taken me less time to do something, but I would take fucking hour and a half. Taylor's cat is on the table right now.
Don't worry, she won't break anything.
Oh yeah,
Just
no,
in
it's
general.
fine. that was one where I enjoyed my time with it, just messing around.
Yeah.
Fallout 4, Batman Arkham Knight, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Her Story, which is one you should play because you should explain have issues with your wrist right now, so you haven't been able to play more recent games.
Yeah, I got diagnosed with stage 4 tendonitis, which is not actually what it's called, but it is tendonitis, but not stage 4. So yeah, I can't really play games anymore.
You should.
not very well.
I think you would enjoy
fun.
though Her Story. It's because it's just you can play it on a computer, I think, or definitely mobile. I played it on my phone, and I won't spoil much for you, but it's just
Yeah.
You watch these little videos from these interrogations, kind of things of this woman, and piece together what the story is. There's not really an end goal. It's not much of a game. It's more just you figure it out, and when you figured it out, it's hard to explain.
Okay.
But it's a very cool thing if you're piecing it together based on you have to look up keywords. Like if you think of a keyword. Oh jeez.
I didn't think she was gonna do that.
If you think of keywords, then you just look them up, and it will find like a few sentences around when that word was said. And you can see up to 5 clips at once and stuff like that. And it's trying to piece together what happened and figuring it out, right?
Right.
Cool game though, and you do not need to use your wrist much for it.
Yeah.
Life is Strange, that was another one I enjoyed, where another story-based episodic game similar to like a Telltale game, but this one actually had gameplay to it, puzzles and stuff like that. And so you had powers to where you
This cat is everywhere.
For anyone who's not watching, my cat just keeps stomping all over everything.
she had been hiding the last episode and
Yeah.
this one as well, and
She's
just
finally
keeping
just wants attention because
Yeah.
she's got to be the center of attention.
has she been fed tonight?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's not a feeding issue. She's just.
Well, no, I was just curious because usually you feed her around 8 and it's like 9 right now.
I fed her earlier.
And then so Life is Strange, that was one where I remember I marathoned that in a day, and you can rewind time in it. Like you would have to get into someone's room, and it's like, okay, I'll break down the door, get inside, and then rewind time, and the door's fixed. They don't know I did it. And so what I would do what happened was I finished the game, was laying on the couch, there was a spring sticking out, I moved, ripped a hole in my sweater, and my instinct after marathoning through the game is, I'll just rewind that. Also,
Man, I just have a point on that. Very recently, because I work so much, my desk, like I work a desk job. I'm thinking, and I use Excel all the time and coding, so we have to undo stuff a lot when we mess stuff up. Yep. And recently, I've been writing, and I'm thinking, I wrote that wrong. I'm just gonna hit the undo button, and I'm like, there's no undo button. I need to erase this, and I have to go through and erase them. It's like it's literally every time now, and I'm like, this isn't good. I shouldn't be thinking that.
I also have Rocket League, Just Cause 3, Lego Dimensions, Mad Max, Rainbow Six Siege, which I really enjoyed all of those. My 2 favorites, though, Until Dawn and Emily is Away. Until Dawn was one where it was a mix for us where we loved playing through stuff like The Walking Dead together, where it was just a story one, and we did the thing where we would each take control of a different character or just different times, stuff like that, see if we could keep them alive, mixed with horror, which we would love to do in a group. And then Emily is Away, which like I think you and I played it. I don't know if you ever played Emily is Away, but it's pretty much like it's an IM chat, like I think it was like
a pick your own adventure type
kind of thing
chat,
where you would choose your responses to stuff, and it would branch off, and it was such a cool game. That's free, that anyone should just play.
I went back. It's not very long.
No, you can beat it in like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I was gonna say
If you listen through this whole podcast, you could beat it in that time.
Yeah. I love going back through and trying different like decisions and stuff like that. It was.
So those are my. Oh yeah, the thing's no longer up on the screen.
Is this 2015? Yeah, I went with Until Dawn and Black Ops 3 because I played way too much Black Ops 3.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Right.
Like, I think I got 10 days on the online for that. Never played the story mode because that's not what you buy it for.
That's the thing is I've never played through like Black Ops. I've played.
Yeah, you don't play it for story.
Right.
I think they've actually got good stories now. They did.
Yeah, I've been hearing this new one. The story's good.
And I think so. Yeah, what was your 2015?
Rocket League.
Rocket League, yeah.
I loved it.
Rocket League, like that was one where I remember
just so
it came out
different,
PlayStation
too.
Plus. We weren't expecting much from it.
Yeah,
we loved it.
It was free too with PS Plus.
Yeah, we platinumed it
Hell yeah.
that within the first week or two.
It's so fun.
I was
Pretty good
notoriously so much worse than every other player, even if they were also brand new, that I never got into it.
Right. So what was yours for 2015?
It was Until Dawn and Black
Until
Ops.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Black Ops. Right.
Oh yeah.
2016. So Inside, which was same people that made
Outside.
that made Limbo. But have you guys ever played Inside?
No.
Some
I
of
bought
the
them both and
most
I've never played either.
perfect game design.
Yeah.
just as far as like just timing of stuff. Like the game is very much meant to feel like sometimes you just go away at the last second, but it's perfectly designed for it, right? Like there's not much I can say about it, but yeah, it's just another creepy platformer that feels perfect. Like the timing just feels perfect, and it was what stood out to me. There's also the game Doom, The Division, Hitman, and then for PSVR there was Job Simulator, Superhot, and Superhot VR. Superhot is great. If you can play Superhot VR, like Superhot VR is amazing.
Yeah.
Love it. There's no other game that can make you feel like a badass.
Not to that degree.
Whenever I have someone over who wants to try out a VR game, I always get them to play.
You get them to
Superhot.
walk off the ledge of
Beat
that
Saber
building.
and Superhot, but for a while it was just Superhot. And then my game of the year for that year was Uncharted 4, which that was probably my favorite experience I've ever had of a game, where it's like a 10-year payoff, kind of. Yeah, at the point I think it had been 9 years, and it was just such a satisfying story with the best game design and so little gun combat, so much of it focused on just...
Well, finally adding in the ability to lose enemies mid-battle.
Yeah.
So we made stealth actually very meaningful, outside of just using it pre-combat. Like, it's not just, oh, they've seen me now, guess it's all combat now.
How many can I take out stealthily before I have to get into gun combat?
Yeah, now you can swing back and forth between the two and actually swing with the grappling hook.
That was one where
just
those games were always like, it felt like an action movie brought to life. And the thing that I love about that game is that's another one where timing was impeccable. Like, I remember this part where you're tied up and you're swinging back and forth and something's coming and you get out just in time.
Yeah.
And it's player controlled, but you wouldn't know if you just watched it.
Yeah.
And little things where it felt like even the rules of just camera rules, like stuff like rule of thirds and stuff, or using foreground, middle ground, background, right?
Yeah.
Stuff for when you're composing a nice shot in a movie. It felt like the game was set up where things were placed, knowing, okay, if we put enemies over here, the character's going to be hiding behind this thing looking this way, and it's almost like they set up the way the map is set up, so it would look like a well-composed shot at times. Like, I just hit the mic. There was parts near the end of the game that just, like, I'm controlling the camera, but it looks like a beautifully composed shot, and I love that. And I love that game lets you have moments that, like, there's just a quiet moment where you can just stand there and reflect at one point, and things like that just, like, really made that stand out.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful game.
Plus, I love Philoso in it.
So what did you like since you didn't play that game, you heathen?
Yeah, what was...
Overwatch,
which again, that was one I remember game of the year that year. It was kind of down to... I have Titanfall 2 up on the screen. Not one I ever beat or played much of.
I've
played recently.
One that I want to get into.
Like,
I've heard really good stuff about the single player, which is what I want to get into. Yeah, I have free EA games this month because I was playing through Fallen Order, so I'm going to give it a shot. Same developer. But yeah, I mean, it was down to, I think, mostly Uncharted 4 and Overwatch. And as much as I adore Uncharted 4, I feel like Overwatch was, as far as games go, the one that popular isn't the right word. Like, it became, it blew up.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was playing it, and it kind of bled into just pop culture in a different kind of way. And I think very clearly, like, kind of game of the year, a game that represented that year. Yeah. Right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Love it. I also had Stardew Valley.
That was that year?
Yeah.
2016 was Stardew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I played it. It's like a Minecraft where you just, like, load it up, just have fun.
It reminded me of, I get, like, Harvest Moon vibes.
Yeah, it was Harvest Moon, basically.
Yeah. What about No Man's Sky?
Then I didn't play that until 2018, 2017.
I think I pre-ordered it.
Yeah, you guys did. And I remember at the time thinking, like, my issue with it more so, like, all kinds of people were like, oh, they didn't live up to the promises. It was more like, no, these are the guys that made Joe Danger. They're such a small developer that I remember saying, like, I don't necessarily think the game's going to be bad. I just think it can't be this.
So my expectations were, the reason why I pre-ordered it was I knew it was going to hit the expectations that people had for it. But I thought, even if it hits half them, it'll be worth it for me.
Yeah. Right.
Instead, it hit like 10% of them.
You should go, I mean, if your wrists weren't bad though, like
So,
you should go back because the game's pretty.
I
great
heard
now.
that it's been fleshed out a bit better.
And they have a VR version,
Yeah.
which is like the whole game you
Yeah.
can just play through VR now. Which,
VR would be quite cool for just even the space travel alone, let alone explore.
for me,
worlds.
it made
That would
me
be
feel.
quite neat.
It's one of those games that made me feel a little bit sick just because of the. I didn't want to use the point to move stuff. I want to actually just move through the game, but it made me feel a little sick because of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very cool game. Now
Yeah.
that time was very flawed, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
Very.
mine was Uncharted 4. Yours was Overwatch, and yours was Uncharted 4, I assume.
Yeah.
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 2017, which the games that came out that year, there was stuff like Destiny 2, PUBG, Cuphead. Sorry, these are games that I loved from that year. Destiny 2, PUBG, Cuphead, Resident Evil 7, Uncharted Lost Legacy, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which feels like a cop-out because it's just a deluxe version of Mario Kart 8. But South Park, The Fractured But Whole, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Splatoon 2, Middle-earth Shadow of War, which is the one I put more time into, where I very distinctly remember building up these two nemesis throughout the game that they, like, because I don't know if this was in the first one, the second one, they could come back with a fucking vengeance. Like, if you killed them, they could come back for revenge.
Yeah.
And
The
I-
first one had that. Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
This one I very much remember it, and they were so angry. And there's these two guys that I killed them so many times they kept coming back. And there was this other there was one that kept coming back, and this other guy that I could not beat.
Yeah.
And there was one time they showed up together as a pair.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy shit, it's going down.
Yeah.
This guy that kept coming back, and I was his biggest enemy, and
Yes.
this guy was mine, and they teamed up, and that's where I took them both down. And that was like, I did not play too much of that game, but I loved
Yep.
that.
Yep.
That was such a good memory.
Well, those ones in the first game where I said they kept beating me at the beginning. Every time they beat me, they would taunt me in a different way about how bad they beat me the time before, and I was like, I just want to get over there and fucking strangle them, like, because they literally are taunting. They're like, "Oh, it's you again, the little."
God, I
puny
love it. That's why I
pipsqueak," and
want
it
in a
was so
Batman
good.
game or something.
Yeah, because it was so good the way they had those dynamics, and you're right. The whole they had that in the first one as well, where some of them could team up.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of the ones that I'd beaten as well, they would team up.
God,
And they were
it's
like,
so
"No,
good.
this is the time we got you," and I'm like,
Yeah,
maybe."
I loved it.
Yeah. Because
and-
no other game I know of does anything like
No,
that.
it's a system no one has copied yet. The Nemesis system that like
Yeah.
it's so perfect for a superhero game.
Yeah.
I also have written on here Emily is Away 2, which is more Emily is Away. And Fortnite, which that's the thing is, I had PUBG and Fortnite written on here. Remember you guys were really into PUBG?
I have PUBG as my top.
Yeah?
Because
Oh,
even,
that's
though
the
it's-
thing.
even though it's broken, it still is like the one I had the most.
Yeah,
fun.
like
I don't
was
know
another
about it
one of
now,
those
but at the
games where
time it was just broken enough that I loved it.
it's like
Yeah.
Gary's Mod. It was like bot battles for us.
Yeah.
It was one of those
Yeah.
things where the jank added to it.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't play as much, and I remember you guys and Bill played quite a bit. And I remember wanting to play a little bit of Fortnite.
yeah.
And our group just was like, whatever, like about
Tried it
Fortnite.
for a bit.
It's the knockoff one, and
Yeah.
clearly that's the one that
Yeah.
turned out a lot better.
Yeah.
Because for us, it was like, it's that with build mechanics. I thought the build mechanics are pretty neat. I wonder what that's
Yeah.
like. But because we weren't good at it, we
Yeah.
didn't really consider that for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely really enjoy Fortnite because I went through a phase where I completely stopped playing PUBG and played a lot more Fortnite. And it definitely has its place, completely different game. You know, they're like people tried to say that they were like compare one to the
They're
other.
both
They're not
the same mode, very mechanically very different.
not even the strategies you use and the type of gameplay you have is not even remotely the same.
PUBG was so great for I remember somehow I realized I could hook up my record player as a microphone super easily.
I remember that.
Just because there was a cord that went out so that for some reason if you want to transfer your records digitally for some reason just playing music as we drove around.
Every time we got in the car, you were the DJ and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It
Like,
was,
turn on the radio.
it was like either Star Wars or
Has to be
Kanye
on.
West.
That was
And then I
so
have
fun.
written at the top of the list Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Horizon Zero Dawn. My two favorites out of those, like
Horizon Zero Dawn was great.
I adore Horizon Zero Dawn, and I think that coming out so close to Breath of the Wild was obviously not great for it.
Yeah.
But I
don't-
had too many issues with Breath of the Wild. Like, it had this emphasis on exploration, but I hated exploring with weapons that could degrade because it.
You don't want to
just-
use them then.
I didn't want to use them, and
Yeah.
it just I felt like I was being punished for exploring because I want to go and I want to fuck around. I want to do stuff, but I don't want to use my weapons to
Yeah.
do it
Yeah,
because
you
it's
wanna
like
save
I
them for
earned
the
these
story.
great weapons, and if I do this, I'm going to end up with crap once again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I just fell out of it. Super Mario Odyssey, I loved it. I remember playing through that one again pretty quickly on my TV. when I first got the Switch, and Horizon Zero Dawn, where I loved Horizon. That's like some of my favorite combat ever in a game. There's no game that's like, besides something like Super Hot, no game that's made me feel like a badass in third person like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was your favorite for 2017?
PUBG.
PUBG, right? You said
Yeah, it had.
Yeah.
I
As well.
logged too many hours into PUBG.
Yeah.
I can't not say.
I remember I've checked your hours. You have a gross number of hours in PUBG.
It's like 360.
That's a lot of hours.
Ask Overwatch
Yeah,
right over there.
buddy.
No.
or,
I'm very aware. Ryan, how many hours do you
or
have in Smash Ultimate right now?
Brothers.
900.
900 fucking hours.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
aware
not that
Ryan
much.
has issues. That's still a ton of hours.
Okay, yeah, but take something like the Uncharted Online, where I log like five.
Yeah, that's still a lot.
Okay, yeah, but
But
the
that was
difference
also-
is double that time just for matchmaking, and then I also played single player. So total hours logged, I probably played way more in Uncharted.
Sure,
2.
but that game also was while we were in junior high. We had so much free time.
yeah,
That's why.
okay.
now
But I
it's where-
also moved away to a province where I didn't know anybody.
I know.
And it literally was go to work, come home, play PUBG, and then go to bed because I didn't have anything else to do. It was winter time. What was I gonna do? Like go make snowmen by myself outside? Like
Yeah.
Should have.
2018. I've written down Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, Celeste, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Far Cry 5, Hitman 2, Detroit Become Human, Marvel Spider-Man, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Sea of Thieves, Florence, and Beat Saber. Florence is a mobile game. Cool one. You guys could play it, beat it in an hour. So I recommend that. Beat Saber, obviously another one that's great. That's my new one for if I want to show VR to someone. That's the one I show them.
oh yeah.
My favorite for that year, that's the thing is, I want to say Spider-Man, because that's probably the game I put the most time into in the last few years,
Yeah.
because I loved Spider-Man. Like, you guys remember when that game was announced, I was fucking flipping the hell out, and
You almost had a stroke.
I was losing my mind, because I remember there was rumors of, like, you know how I've spoken about how much I loved Infamous, how that got me, the first one got me into PlayStation, it got me into games in general, and then what got me, like, where I was dedicated was Infamous 2, and it was rumored Sucker Punch was going to be developing a Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Didn't believe it. It was too good to be true. And then it turned out it was Insomniac, which I think was the better choice for sure. But like, I have been waiting for a good Spider-Man game for like 14 years before this came out.
Yeah.
It was 2 years before, so it would have been 12 years at the time. And man, I loved, like, that's probably tied for Infamous 2 for game I've anticipated the most. But God of War was the better game for me.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was great, and but its highs weren't as high.
Yeah. God of War just like it was. I've never had a game that gave you a weapon that you felt
As
so much
good.
like you were holding, or you like had so much control over it. Because like anytime you did something like one of those charged chops that
What's
you do on
his
people,
axe called?
like you could feel the fucking weight behind it when he hit somebody. They did it so well with the animation and the
Leviathan,
vibration.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leviathan.
Between that and calling it back when it's away from
God,
you.
where
like
you felt like fucking Thor.
yeah, and they did it so like they did it identically to the way like it's weighted in the movies. The way you see him like grab it back
feels good. Like it.
Yeah, it really
There's
like
the impact. God,
yeah. They weighted. I swear to God, you could feel the weight of the object you were using while doing.
I mean, there's
like,
something
it's
also
done
to
so
like
well.
the vibration. I love when a game gets
Yeah.
vibration. I remember the first
yeah.
Infamous, like jumping had a very slight vibration.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't enough for a big impact, but it's like it rotated once. And I love when games can nail that.
Yeah.
God of War, for me, it was the thing of, it reminds me of the first Avengers movie where Hulk and Kratos, such similar characters of, they're just angry. They have no personality besides being angry to me.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. They're technically the hero, but they're so fucking destructive. I couldn't get behind them. And both of them were, I remember walking over the Avengers, and Hulk was the character that I took away with me of like,
Yeah.
holy crap, I'm a fan now. And
Yeah.
God of War, it's like this was the fourth main one, being such an emotional game, and I cannot believe they made me care about a character like that. And it's almost
Yeah.
like those games, all the flaws with the character and the story, this game couldn't be as perfect as it is if it wasn't like that. It needed to be like that in order for this to be such a redemption of a character, right?
Yeah. Making him a dad.
Yeah, it was
Like,
like
how do you make somebody who is the embodiment of like over the top anger
Yep.
try to teach
it's weird that a game like God of
morality
War
or maturity
felt
to a kid?
like, people don't always like this term. It felt like man, can you believe the fourth God of War felt like it was like about toxic masculinity?
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say,
Right?
right?
Like,
God, it was so good. And the crazy part for that one is I had mono at the time, right when the game came out, and so I had a headache, and I was so slow getting through it because I felt sick. And so it was like 3-4 weeks later where I was finally like, okay, I can sit down and really get through this.
Yeah.
God, I loved it.
Yeah.
Such a satisfying game. So, but for 2018, what was yours?
I put Smash because technically it's
Smash,
2018.
you've put over 900 hours in.
But I also put
You've
that to
averaged-
2019
Okay.
because
That's all you've played.
it's like
That's all you have played.
yeah. Honestly,
When Ryan has an average of 2.5 hours a day at least. in
He
this
was over
game-
2.5 last time we did the calculation.
Oh, this is
Closer
just
to
based off my
2.6,
head where
2.7.
we're about a month away from the end of the year.
Yeah.
So say 320 days we're in. And Ryan has over 900 hours. That almost averages out at 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
it's pretty sick. I have Celeste.
Sick in a bad
I
way.
love Celeste.
It's sick.
It's sick in a bad way because you don't play every single day.
He kind of does.
Have you played today?
No.
There we go. So I'm saying he has to make up that hour
But
somewhere
I'm
else.
saying he kind of does. Like,
Yeah.
even weekdays he is.
Yeah, but
I
I
guess-
mean, I'm sure there's at least 1 to 2 days a week on
Yeah.
average that he doesn't, meaning
Yeah.
he has to make it up somewhere else.
I don't know how
Which means the
he's
day
done
he
it.
plays are actually closer to 4 to 5 hours.
It's impressive, if anything.
You have a full-time job.
I had shut up. I had Celeste as well.
Yeah, Celeste seems
That
like a
was
you kind of
super
game as
fun.
well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like Electronic Superdrive.
Yep.
I'm just
when I
bouncing
think of
through.
games that are Ryan games, it's like these special kinds of platformers,
Yeah.
right?
and then
more puzzle-based on.
not really.
Not really.
It was like a puzzle platform, kind of.
That's what I mean. Like,
I mean, it's
they're
kind
not
of,
necessarily
but
puzzle.
I'd say like
Yeah.
Electronic Super Joy isn't really puzzle.
No, not at all.
It's fast.
Electronic Superjoy is like I don't know, just a super
they're
hard
just,
game.
They're,
You have to
they're both hard platformers.
hard. It's a really hard
Yeah.
platform. Yeah, that's what I'd say it is.
yeah,
I guess.
maybe that's kind of what you're into
Yeah.
then, I guess. But just these unique kinds of platformers.
Have you played Hollow Knight?
A little bit of it.
Yeah,
I didn't finish.
it's
it,
a slower platform.
Yeah, it is slower.
It's not like.
Yeah, I guess
the
I
other
like
two
the-
are like run.
They have-
jump,
they
run,
have-
jump.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just curious.
They have like defined levels,
Yep.
but Hollow Knight was like an open world platformer.
Yep. It's very.
it was
that
slow.
was kind of the
I think I like
Metroidvania
fast-paced
kind of thing of like similar to Guacamelee almost
Yeah.
in some ways. I mean, obviously more challenging, but that kind of they're open. Yeah. So I don't know how much else there is to say for 2018. Red Dead Redemption's also on there.
It's Sea of Thieves.
One that I
was
like.
another
Sea of
group one.
Thieves, where that was one where again
Sea of
I
Thieves?
think it was playing as a group is why we liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was more the way we chose to play it, not necessarily the game even
Yep.
itself. But let's see what
I
we
guess,
can do with
like-
the tools we're given.
There's also Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That one was like my favorite for a long time was Brotherhood. This one, very different feeling game.
Yeah.
Just felt like a Wonder Woman simulator after a while, which I loved. And then what was the other one I wanted to mention was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which I feel like a lot of people just didn't play. The other two I like more. I really love this one, and I really love the look of this one.
Yeah.
I think more people should give it a shot. Yeah, just not much else to say. I really liked the mechanic of hiding in mud in that game. Like, you cover yourself in mud, and it makes it so you can hide in bushes easier and stuff like that, or certain bushes that you couldn't hide in unless you were covered in mud.
Higgs hide in mud sometimes.
Sure.
You could play a game with them.
2019. So for 2019, we're still in it, and there's a ton of games I have not touched so far this year.
Yeah.
I still want to play through stuff like Sayonara Wild Hearts, and what else was 2019? Also, there's one 2016, I forgot, Watch Dogs 2. Not much to say. Way better than the first one, I guess. But for this year, stuff that I still have to play, stuff like Modern Warfare, the new Pokemon game, The Outer Worlds, I didn't put enough time into. Apex Legends is one that
it was fun.
Oh,
yeah, I feel like you too would have enjoyed that.
I
But
played it a little bit.
yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 I haven't put in time into. Devil May Cry 5. I still want to play. Still want to play some Sekiro, and I want to play. What was the last one I'm thinking of? Oh, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I really want to play that, but again, it's a horror game that we're going to get stuck on. I want our friend Tyler to play through it with us, because that's his kind of thing. He did that with Resident Evil 7 for us. Also want to get through... There was one more on here that I'm completely blanking on. That was a cool-looking game. Oh, Gears of War... Yeah. Gears of War 5. I can get that through Game Pass. I really want to play that because I've heard really good things about it, and I've never played one of those games before.
I don't play any games anymore, so I have no input for this year.
I only play Smash, so I don't have any input for this year.
Yeah, this is just me. I have written on here Borderlands 3, Death Stranding, The Division 2, Super Mario Maker 2, and Total Goose Game.
I had Goose Game too, because I
Yeah.
played that as well.
It's a great game.
It was a good
I've seen the
fun
Goose
game.
game. Looks hilarious.
Just fun. It's a kind of game where you can, like, I love those kinds of little games where you can just, there's a bunch of little ways to mess with people.
Yeah.
My two big ones were Control and Jedi Fallen Order. Crazy thing is to me, is I thought it was going to be Jedi Fallen Order when I was playing through it, but I feel like my favorite part of that game is the very beginning. And the biggest promise is what that game sets up for story. Like, it goes cool places. It feels like there's too many things that just don't line up perfectly. Like, it feels so good at some points, and then other times just some things, like, it feels good but not great. Control, though, was just one where it got better over time, and I feel like more of a badass Jedi in Control than I do in Fallen Order. Like,
Yeah.
they're different playing games, but for me, it was the thing of, like, man, where I'm fucking floating there, and I pick someone up, and you're in this big open area, and you can fucking throw them, like, 200 feet, and they slam into a wall, and you see the impact, like, sparks come up, and then they fall to the ground. That feels so fucking cool. Like, Control is a Cameron kind of game. That's one where I kind of wish they took over, like, the Infamous franchise, which, as much as I love Infamous, like, I feel like, what's their company? Who develops Control? It starts with R-E. I'm going to say Remedy.
Resident Evil.
Rockstar.
I want to say Remedy. Remedy. Yeah, it's Remedy. The reason I'm struggling is because there's one very similar for who developed Fallen Order and Apex Legends. They both start with R-E, and I get them mixed up all the time. Respawn.
Yeah.
And Remedy. So the two that I love this year are both Re. But yeah, Control's so friggin' good. And it's just such a cool game. Like, everything in that game, just, like, you can tell that they had a lower budget for some things, but not in a... Like, you just know that, like, but they didn't have to develop as many assets. Like, there's a very defined look.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of places look similar, but they're so well designed. There's a certain kind of architecture to it. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Brutalism, where it's just this very concrete, big, aggressive look to it
like the
that I love.
library.
Yeah, like the Kiln Library at Dalhousie. Yeah, no, it's just such a cool game. One that I just every so often I still pop into and just go off and kill people for fun, because it's a very, like, it's a game where you start off and I was dying constantly. I was hiding behind stuff, cowering behind stuff. It's like I would shoot and I would run and, like, constantly die, and then by the end, these same enemies, like, I just walk in there and I fucking float off the ground, and I'm picking up and throwing them at each other. And yeah, stuff like that, or like controlling them to kill each other, or stuff like just so many things where there's never been a game like that where there's such a curve of feeling so helpless to feeling like in control.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it now.
So yeah, for 2019, I'm assuming I'll have to play through those others, but definitely Control is my
For sure.
game of that year, this year.
I put Planet Zoo because I feel like
What
I'd
is
like
Planet
it.
Zoo?
It's a
It's like Zootopia.
roller coaster tycoon people
Okay.
who made Planet Coaster, who now make Planet Zoo. I might like it. I never played it, but I love roller coaster.
I feel like you
Tycoon.
need to play more.
I feel like you need to
Like-
play anything other than Smash
Yeah.
for once.
I can't get
because
them
at
all.
this
I was
point.
just thinking about playing Smash.
So if you've played this much and you can't even win a local competition, what are you doing this for?
Do you love Smash because you
Yikes!
the Mario and Luigi remind you of your Italian family, and you really just feel the need to take your aggression out?
Look, I hate playing against Mario's. All right,
You hate playing?
I hate playing against Mario's.
Oh, against him. What about Luigi's? You're more of a Wario.
They're whatever.
You're the Wario, probably. In your family. But yeah,
I like Wario.
those
Do I sound
are
like Wario?
our favorite games of the 2010s.
Yeah. So Mr. Oldman, I hope that's helped.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah,
but that means
your
we're
museum can live on, or whatever it was.
we're
Yeah.
down to our last segment. Which we can quickly get through. So,
Yeah.
Fancy Wolf's Hall of Fame, as we explained last episode, we bring anything to the table and try and pitch it to put into our Hall of Fame. Last time, Ryan
You don't have
pitched-
to bring it to the table.
The idea.
You just
bring
have
the
to
idea to
bring
the
the
Bring the idea to
table.
the
Ryan
table.
brought briefcases last time, and it very quickly got shut down. Well, not quickly, slowly and painfully.
Yeah, he painted a horrible picture.
It just went downhill. Somehow, briefcases being introduced was the peak.
That's what happens when you go first, you know? You got to take the hit.
That was the third time because we had to delete our first 2 episodes for technical reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, one last
All right, Cameron,
technical.
you're up this time.
I'm up. I'm going to bring to the table. I'm trying to choose one of these games. Because that's what my idea was going to be. Emily is Away. I want to bring Emily is Away because I'm trying to think of a good way to put this one. You're against it?
No.
Okay.
I have to hear your pitch. Remember, it's based on
Yep.
the pitch. It's
Oh,
not,
100%.
not my idea.
This
Emily
is
is
good because
Away.
I never played it or seen anything about
It's
it.
a bite-sized game you can just get through an hour and a half, and I've never been so devastated after a game as through this. Like, it's a game very much based in nostalgia.
Don't spoil it. I might play it.
Okay, no, this isn't spoilers. Every year you go through it, and also, again, multiple endings. This was my ending.
Have fun.
Yeah. The game is very much based in nostalgia. Like, it's one, like, conversation per year, I think. Right?
You're having an IM conversation.
Sure.
An IM
sure.
conversation, right?
MSN or
Some,
yes.
doesn't matter.
I like that.
It's either AIM or MSM, but I can't remember which
Sure.
one. But yeah, you'll see little things like pixelated versions of the popular profile pictures from the time, and
Yeah.
people's bios, and all this stuff that reminds you of like, well, we are in elementary school, but
Yeah.
game takes place, characters would have been in high school, right?
Right.
It's this kind of thing, and it's a weird kind of thing of like, the game is so good at taking a snapshot in a conversation from a year and just giving you enough to fill you in for what's happened over time,
Yeah.
right? And that's a very hard thing to do in storytelling. Think about a movie like Boyhood, right? Where it's similar, it takes place over a long period of time. That movie was shot over 12 years. I got to the end, I did not give a fuck about this character, right? Playing something like Emily is Away, where it's smaller moments with the character, way shorter than that other movie is, and you don't even see them, it's just verbal, and you grow a connection with you and one other character. You're not getting a bunch of backstory, there's nothing to tell you, other besides what you are telling them and what they're telling you back. And somehow manages, like, it's like it, with one arm tied behind his back, manages to tell an extremely compelling story.
Yeah.
And it's a free game.
Well, storytelling doesn't usually use your arms, so having it tied behind your back probably wouldn't make it any harder. Unless you're using a lot of, like, hand gestures.
I like the fact that it's a free game. That gives it a bonus.
It's free.
It is.
Was it always free?
yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of just run it on anything, I think. I feel like they should add it to mobile.
They should. It would be perfect for that. That's a yes for me.
It's a yes from Taylor. It's a shrug from Ryan, but...
That's pretty cool, yeah. Sounds
Okay,
pretty
cool. So Emily is Away. First thing that gets put into the Hall of Fame, which means we have to have a toast then.
Shit.
Oh, shit. Here it comes. We have toast, right?
Yeah, we got close.
Toast for the toast? Oh, shit.
It's going to break the...
Wait, what are you... Oh, okay.
Put water in them.
Oh, I drank all the milk.
Yeah, you did drink all the chocolate milk. We were going to toast the chocolate milk, but...
I didn't even think about that. There wasn't enough.
Look at this, man. These are fucking ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
So did we clink them?
Oh, you know what? Just a sec. Wow, we all did cheers.
There's a video.
If you're a video viewer, don't be a bitch. This water's very cold.
To Emily.
I hate this.
Thanks for being away.
This is such a dumb segment. Anyway, that... Have you never used one of these
I
before?
spilled it.
We're using champagne flutes, just so the audio listeners know.
Yeah.
Because we were at IKEA earlier and saw they were $2 each, and we got really excited. And Ryan's got it all over his face
Good
now.
juice.
But yeah, so that was
What do
our
you think people drink?
That's its expression.
that was our second episode of Fancy Wolf's podcast, Important Business. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and
Zoom.
Google Play? Yeah, Google Play. There's some other ones out there. If there's more that you would like them to be on, then let me know at Cameron Ken on Twitter. You can also email us at importantbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. You can find Taylor at
At the Real Boatmaster on Twitter for now. I
not
don't-
the real, just
Oh shit! I don't actually remember if it's the Real Boatmaster.
Real Boatmaster.
Okay, it's Real Boatmaster.
Which you're probably going to change.
Which I'm probably gonna change, maybe even before this airs. Who knows? So that might not even be reliable. But
Taylor, sorry, Brian, you can find at.
I chose my name first. It's at Real Joke Master.
I forgot, yeah. Taylor's copy. They'll be able to tell that there's years based
For sure.
on the profile. Yeah, we post every Thursday at 10 a.m. Atlantic time. That's 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. You can also find us in video form on YouTube at fancywolf.com. But until next time, it's been a pleasure doing business with you.
it's been a pleasure visiting.
We're not doing the handshake thing anymore. We can't reach around this table anymore.
We're not gonna give reach rounds anymore.
Oh, you know what? We just let the record show we're shaking hands. See, with
Let the record.
yeah, with audio listeners, they don't know.
idiots.
We can lie to
What a
them.
bunch of idiots. We're not in a courtroom.
Cool.
Great. See ya.